Hello, my name is Martine Séverin. I'm a commercial and lifestyle photographer, and today I want to talk to you how to prepare for a portfolio review. If you missed our past video on this series, please be sure to check it out. In our last video, we chatted about what is a portfolio review, is it right for you, what are some of the benefits, and what are some of the drawbacks. So let's get started. As you begin to prepare for a portfolio review, I'm going to assume that you've identified which portfolio review that you want to do. You know, there are national portfolio reviews held by, say, the Palm Springs Photo Festival. There are also portfolio reviews that are regional, that are usually held by your APA chapter or your ASMP chapter. Lastly, portfolio reviews are also held one-on-one. Let's say you meet with a company and you want to show them your work and to see how you could add value to them. All of that falls under the banner of portfolio reviews. But all of the information that we're going to share now with you will apply to all types of portfolio reviews. First things first, it's really important that you consider what is your goal for the portfolio review. Is it to simply get feedback on your work? Is it to improve your network? Is it that you want to show your new work? Or let's say that you want to scope out potentially a book deal. People go to portfolio reviews for a lot of different reasons, and it's important for you to sit down and think about what is the outcome that you want from going to a portfolio review. For me, it's always super simple. It is to share my work and make new connections. For me, I love to share my work not only with the reviewers themselves, but also with some of the people that I meet. And these people are other photographers, or they could be the conference organizers. But it runs the gamut. But the important thing is for you to be very sure. You never know what the outcome will be immediately, but the outcome, I know, usually shows itself in several years. By that, I mean that there are people that I met 3 years ago at a portfolio review, and I've stayed in touch with them, and they've ended up hiring me 3 years afterwards. You never know. But if the purpose is for you to share your work or to expand your network, you'll never go wrong with a portfolio review. You just have to manage your expectations. You're not necessarily going to get a job right after a portfolio review. You really have to think about it in the long term. The portfolio review is for the long-term thinking. Let's talk about the work that you're going to present. It's really important to narrow down your work. You want to put your best foot forward, and that really includes printing out your best work. And your best work will show itself in terms of an 11 by 14 printed and bound book. It could also show itself in the form of your tablet, or it could show itself in the form of 8 by 10 book. Everyone is very different in what they present. Most importantly, the work that you present at a portfolio review has to be your best work. Not only that, it has to represent who you are as an artist. It has to also represent who your dream clients are. What are the future jobs that you want to be hired for? What do you want to be known for? All of these things need to be represented in your portfolio itself. Of course, this means that you need to go through all of your past works and think about what are the 20 to say 40 images that really say who you are as an artist and about what you want to be known for. What's your DNA? All of this needs to be in your book. You want to narrow your work down so that it tells a story. You want to start with a very strong image that's like pow, and then you end with an image that's like kaboom. You want to wow people from the beginning and to the end. And in the middle, you want to have highs, and then you want to have lows. You want to allow photos that allow the eye to rest. It takes practice, but I'm sure you'll get it right. Another tip is that your portfolio that you present at a review should not be exactly what's on your website. You don't want it to be a rehash of your website. No, no, no. You do, however, want it to be your best work and maybe your newer work, and you want it to be really applicable to what the clients are looking for. So it's a good idea to review who the art producers who are attending, what are some of the clients they represent, what agency do they work in. And when you know that, then you can have a really good structure to your printed portfolio or your tablet, your portfolio that is online. This is all to say that you need to be prepared and you need to put on your thinking cap just so that you can tell a really good story about who you are as an artist. And as you prepare for your portfolio, it's a good idea to understand how long it takes to do the whole process. Printing an 11 by 14 book takes time. You need to order the book, you need to order your prints, you need to design your book, you need to narrow down your final selects, you need to print your book, and you need to order your leave behinds. This is all to say that it takes a lot of time and you want to have a really good timeline and a really good handle on the whole process. You don't want to wait till the very, very last minute, say the day before your review, to receive your materials, because then you'll be a little bit hectic putting everything together, or worse, you might not have all you need for the portfolio itself. And then you've most likely invested quite a bit of money in attending these portfolios. So you just don't want to create problems for yourself. You want to create a timeline. We've included a timeline that you can download. When you look down at the description, you'll see a link and you can click on that. And I'm hoping that the timeline will help you set yourself up for success. Let's talk in depth about producing your actual portfolio. So we have the printed portfolio. You could potentially have your iPad, or you could have a box of images. I've seen people do all three, and really you just have to rock it. Whatever decision you make, it's the right one for you, and you have to just rock it when you sit across from your reviewer and you're explaining who you are and your work to them. Whether you choose an iPad or tablet or a print portfolio, all of these are tools to show your best work. I have to admit I'm partial to a print portfolio because, well, let me tell you the story. I went to a portfolio review. The APA put it on, I think it was about 2 years ago. When I go to this review, I charge my tablet, I did all of these things. I sit down and I tried to turn on my tablet and the dreaded thing would not turn on. It was dead. But I had brought my printed portfolio as well. And I'll tell you, the difference from going to a screen to the actual print was amazing. The colors were more vibrant. You could turn the page. It smelled good. That tactile sense was just really amazing. And that's why I really prefer a printed portfolio. That said, I always have my tablet with me because it's as supplemental evidence, if you will, because if I have, say, motion work to share, I can just pull it up and show the reviewer my work. Or if they're saying, I like this, but have you done this and that? And I can say, well, actually I have. If you don't mind waiting a minute, let me show you. So having both can sometimes be a boon. If you decide to have your portfolio on a tablet, have it fully charged and don't rely on Wi-Fi. A lot of portfolio reviews are held in hotels and you might not always have the code. You just want to be prepared. Don't rely on Wi-Fi and be fully charged, or even have one of those backup batteries in case the worst happens. I've included a resource list for you in terms of some of the companies that do a really good job with printing portfolios, so you'll be able to access that. And in that list too, we have the leave behinds, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Your leave behinds are what you actually leave behind after your review. Some people leave postcards, some people leave business cards, and some people leave something more intricate like a fold out. It's really up to you. For me, I prefer to leave postcards. And the trick that I've used, that I learned from Stacy Swiderski, is to have a group of 25 images that I've printed. But it's 5 images times 5, so we get 25 images. And so with each review that I go to, I have my 5 images. They're all different images, and I present it to my reviewer and I say, thank you for reviewing with me. I'd love to leave you a note of thanks. Would you mind choosing between these images? And what's really amazing is that they'll choose an image. And a trick, I usually have 2 of those images be the strong image that opens my book and the strongest images that closes my book. And when they choose, it's always really surprising and kind of fun because you never quite know what they're going to choose. And at the end of the day, you get to know which of your images speak the strongest and are everyone's favorite. Let's talk about how to take notes during a review. What you want to do is definitely have a notebook. You need to take notes because the review goes by really quickly. They're normally between 15 and say 20 or 30 minutes. It goes by fast. And so you're not going to remember everything that's said, but you will have your trusty notebook. And with your trusty notebook, you want to write the person's name as well as the company they're from. Then you want to write down the words that appear over and over again. You don't want to write down word for word. That's not important because at the end of the day, what you're going to do with the notes that you take is you're going to code them. We're going to talk about that in our next video, okay? So be sure to tune in for that. Since we've talked about coding your answers, let's roll right on to research. Research is so important to a portfolio review, and the reason for that is you're going to pay megabucks to attend these reviews, and the organizers of the portfolio review that you're attending will give you the names of all of the people who are going to be the reviewers, and they're going to give you their bio. Isn't that awesome? So you get to go through, read everyone's bio, and then create a list of your top and your secondary reviewers that you are really, really hoping to meet with. You want to pay attention to the bios because the bios will tell you most of the things that you need to know. Aside from the bios that the organizers present, you also want to go and stalk these people. Okay, all kidding aside, you don't want to stalk them, but you certainly want to go on their website. Do they have an Instagram? Do they have a Twitter account? Who are these people? You want to know as much about them as possible. Do they like pizza? Are they a Hawaiian pizza kind of person? Or do they like just straight up margarita? You want to go on their Instagram if they have one. You want to go on their Twitter if they have one. Do they have a TikTok? Whatever it is, you want to know. Because when you sit in front of them, it's important to make a connection. And you want to let them know that you've done your research. You don't want to show up at a review and not know anything about that person. Because a portfolio review is a soft interview. I worked in nonprofit for a number of years, and we would do these things called informational interviews. That is, you could go to a company, specifically to the HR department, and say, hey, can I have an informational interview? And in the informational interview, you get to learn more about the company, and you get to talk about yourself, how great you are, and all of the value that you can bring to that company. And really, portfolio reviews are basically the same thing. It's a soft interview, people. You are going to interview with these people, and they get to see who you are, what your work is like, and whether or not you would be a good person to work with. And the way that you present yourself is really important. And by presenting yourself, I mean the research that you do is really important. At the end of the day, they need to know that they could put you in front of a client, their most prized client, and you would just rule. And to recap, it's important that you do your homework. It is important because your homework that you do just on them will tell them how you will prepare for a shoot when the day comes, when they do end up hiring you. The other thing I want to share with you is to expect the unexpected at a portfolio review. That is, you might have your heart set on your top 3, 4, 6 people that you want to meet, but What happens if one of those people is out sick and they can't attend? Good thing you have a second list. It's a great idea to print out all of the bios for the people who are attending the reviews, because let's be honest, life happens, the unexpected happens. And in the case that one of the people that you had slotted as your reviewer can no longer make it, then you have your list and you could go through and see who are your number 2s or number 3s or number 4s with whom you'd be more than willing to meet up. Lastly, let's talk about communicating your message. We all know about the elevator pitch, and you should have your elevator pitch because at the end of the day, you want to communicate not only to the reviewers, but for some of the attendees of the review, what you're all about. I like to have 2 to 3 sentences that talk about what I'm about. In addition to that, I have what I'm calling talking points. Now, we usually hear about talking points for politicians or big CEOs, and they use the talking points when they have a big meeting where they have like a bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of the things that they're going to cover. And this is not a bad thing for us to adopt for we as photographers, and this is because you are going to meet a lot of different people and you want to stay on message. What are you about? Who are your dream clients? And what do you want in the future? These are all things to really know. And once you have your talking points, then you'll be able to refer to that so that you stay on message throughout the whole portfolio review. That said, you should remember to have fun. You don't want to stay on message the whole time, but having fun is always really good too. Before we close out this section, let's talk about what you're going to wear at the reviews. Oh, well, speaking about what to wear, hold on a second. I'm back. Now, if you follow me on Instagram or you've been on my website, you know that my brand colors are this yellow. I have the hex code and everything, which is a lot of fun. You want to be sure that people remember who you are after your review is over. And for me, this color is my brand color, but it's kind of fun. Not everyone wears yellow, and you need to come up with a way that people will remember who you are. At the last portfolio review I attended, there was this one gentleman who had these hot pink sunglasses. And I had to ask him, what is up with these sunglasses? And so he told me the story. He had this job in Hawaii. He lived in LA. So he gets in his car on the way to the airport and he's driving. And he realizes that he's going to Hawaii and he's forgotten his sunnies, his sunglasses. So he's like, I have a pair. I always have a pair in the glove compartment. He goes in the glove compartment. He looks. Oh, there is a pair. He pulls them out. They're hot pink. And he's like, oh. Turns out he had no other choice. He needed to get to Hawaii. He goes there. He has this shoot and he wears his hot pink sunglasses as needed. And you know what? At the end of the shoot, everyone from the models to the producers are saying, these are amazing. Tell us the story about these pink sunglasses. Where can we get a pair? What? This is such a great story. And so he wears his hot pink sunglasses to his reviews. And when he follows up, he can definitely say, hello, how are you? Thank you for my review. I was the one wearing the hot pink sunglasses. And do you know that I do the same thing? I always wear some type of yellow, whether it's a t-shirt or with this jacket or yellow earrings, whatever, right? I always wear yellow. It's my brand color. When the reviewer who's met me goes on my website, they will remember, oh, she wore yellow. And, oh my gosh, Martine's brand color is yellow. It works, people. We as photographers know how important wardrobe is. Wardrobe helps us tell the story. And so it behooves us, I would think, to really think about what our wardrobe says about ourselves. And so when you are in front of people you've never met before and you're hoping that they will hire you, they'll be charmed by you, your wardrobe matters. It matters because your wardrobe will tell the story and we'll talk about your competence. We'll talk about how lively and fun you are. And we'll also talk about who you are as a person. So just consider your wardrobe when you go to review, because as I said before, it is a soft job interview. That's it for now. I hope you'll join us at the last episode we're having as part of this series. In that episode, we're going to talk about what happens at the portfolio review itself. What are some of the questions you should ask, and how do you interact with the reviewers, and what are the steps you need to take immediately following your review, as well as several months after the review. I'll check you later. Bye.